I'm Beverly Smyrnis, here to bring you the stories of people who fearlessly pursue their passions. My guests have intentionally chosen a life of purpose, fulfillment, and balance. My wish is that you leave each episode feeling capable of realizing your boldest dreams.
Thank you, Cindy Cox of C&L Foods, for sponsoring this segment of the People Pursuing Passions podcast and our new Savvy Restaurants, Hotels, and Resorts publication. Cindy has worked in the beef and poultry industry for over 40 years. When you think of all the top restaurants in Dallas, they're probably on C&L Foods' client list. Cindy's worked at this for so many years, and she works with the best of the best. Thank you, Cindy and C&L Foods, for making all that we do possible.
Hello, I'm excited to have Jennifer McDaniel in the studio. I first met Jennifer because she teaches at Club Pilates, where I go and get my exercise and really enjoy the program over there. She's a great Pilates instructor. And in talking to her, I found out that she's going to culinary school. Jennifer, tell us about how you decided to go back to school.
I'm so excited to be here. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity for me to share my story about what led me to choosing another career in the culinary world. So culinary has always been something that I've loved to do. I grew up from a family of women that cooked together. We spent numerous holidays in the kitchen with my grandmother and my mother and my aunts and my sisters, and food and community has been something that's really been important to my family. And after I left my corporate career, I was in the beauty and wellness industry for about 25 years. I decided that I was just going to create this whole new second life for myself. And one of those dreams was me stepping into being a chef.
You had mentioned that you want to really bring some healthy eating ideas into your career as a chef.
Food is so much more than just food. It's an incredible opportunity for us to really work on the inside out when it comes to managing our health. Everything that we eat plays a big part in our energy. It plays a huge part in our metabolism and how our skin looks, our overall day-to-day energy, how we feel. So I really wanted to, like you said, bring some of that beauty and wellness into this food industry and really focus on teaching people, especially women, how to make healthy, nutritious meals that taste great.
And tell us about where you're going to school and kind of describe like your average day at school.
I am attending Centro College, and they have a culinary and pastry arts program. I'm finishing up my culinary arts associate's degree, and I have a few more classes left. I'm actually graduating in the spring of next year in 2026. My average day is about a 10-hour day. My current classes consist of me in a saucier class where I'm learning how to master the 5 mother sauces, because every sauce that you have stems from one of the 5 mother sauces. So I'm learning how to perfect those sauces so I can expand my repertoire when it comes to creating sauces as the finishing touch for food. I'm also in a great class that I'm really excited about called International Cuisine. So in this class, it's really fun. Each of the students in the class gets to create their own menu based upon a region of the world. So what I've chosen is a menu that's indigenous to North America. So in this class, we get a chance to create, I would say for a day, our own restaurant.
What are some of the North American dishes that you might make for that day?
I did a lot of research when I decided to move forward with this menu. I wanted to really stick to foods that were indigenous to the region. So I stayed away from pork, lamb, and venison, and a lot of things that you would probably find in the European continent. I went back to the roots of North America. So my menu consists of corn chowder, because corn is a big ingredient to North America, especially from the Native American standpoint. I've also done a corn cake with the wild mushroom ragu. Those would be my starters. And then for my entrees, I decided to go with a roast turkey. It's a cherry wood roasted turkey breast, and I've accompanied that with a creamy corn polenta, going back to that corn story that I wanted to weave within the menu, along with some roasted root vegetables like parsnips and beets and celeriac and carrots. And then I'm also using a wild berry gastrique on top of that to flavor the turkey. So that would be one of my entrees. And then the second entree, I decided to go with the vegetarian option. I've taken butternut squash and I'm roasting the butternut squash. And with that, I'm doing a wild rice with cranberries and walnuts as the stuffing inside the sauce. And then I'm topping that with a sage butter. And then for my bread, I'm doing Indian fried bread with the maple sage butter. And then for my dessert, I'm doing vanilla infused panna cotta with roasted pumpkin seeds and wild blueberries.
Well, it sounds like a fantastic menu for our upcoming holiday time.
It's funny that you say that because my menu is being offered November 6th. So it's right before Thanksgiving. So I didn't want to do a traditional Thanksgiving menu. So this is like the perfect time to sort of ease people into something that is reflective of the Thanksgiving holiday, but a little bit different than what they would probably get at
That's
home.
great. What kind of things are they saying to you in the culinary school about maybe changing taste or things that maybe you'll do differently than the chefs that might have gone to school 20 years ago?
The technique is the same, but I think that what's different is you can order an ingredient and have it delivered the very next day off of Amazon if you needed to. So I think that the biggest thing that I'm learning is we have access to pretty much anything we want if we can find the right source. With that being said, I'm a big believer that we should be eating locally. So as I continue on with my concept around building my recipes and also offering food to the public, I want to offer food that is local to Texas, A, and B, seasonal. I'm not bringing in strawberries that are out of season or bringing in fish from a different country. I think that's really important. And I think that we as chefs need to be more clear and also more focused on sustainability and where we're getting the food from so we can understand that we're sourcing the healthiest food for our customers.
Or influenced by food on your travels when you go to France. Tell us about your trips to France and maybe what you picked up over there.
I've been to France several times because my daughter and son-in-law have resided there for the past year. They lived in Lyon. Lyon is really, I would say, the food capital of France. So I've had the experience of going over there several times and just really immersing myself in the culinary world, really learning about food there. I visited El Presidente, which is a great restaurant. The chef there was trained by Paul Bocuse. I've taken a few cooking classes there and learned how to make some traditional French cuisine. So I'm a big believer in understanding French technique, but at the same time, I do plan to expand my knowledge because I want to have more of a global lens when it comes to making food. I also think that you can take French food and Asian food and Latin American food. And I think that global fusion really is the future when it comes to food because people are traveling all over the world. And I found that in my travels, when you take a little bit of this cuisine and you take a little bit of that cuisine and you put your spin on it, it really does open up your palate to incredible tastes that you would have never experienced.
That's a wonderful experience that your kids are over there in France while you're going to school. How do you balance it all?
I love that question, Beverly. I think that it took a lot of courage for me to go back to school at this point in my life. Again, this was my second career. I was at a point where I was in the wellness industry and in the beauty industry. I was in the corporate world. I was traveling a lot. And I was really honestly feeling very burned out and unmotivated. So the first step was for me to go and get my Pilates certification, which is obviously how we met in the Pilates world. Pilates was something that I used for my own self-care. And then when I decided to leave my corporate job, I decided to become a Pilates instructor because it was just, the movement was so incredible. And I know you can attest to that, how important movement is for the body and how it really just helps to regulate all these other areas of your life. So once I did that and I started to feel good and I started to feel strong again, I figured, when my body was strong, it gave me the courage to step into a new life. I decided, you only have one life to live. Why not just do it? It wasn't easy, but it was just step by step by step by step. Sometimes my days are hard. Sometimes my days are long, but I have an end goal in mind. And at the same time, I feel like I'm very blessed and very grateful to be able to be living my dream. I know there's a lot of people that would have loved to go to culinary school or really love to start a second career, and they just didn't have the courage or the ability to do it. And I think a lot of that is based upon our belief. Sometimes we think we're too old or we don't have the money, whatever the hard stop is for us. I encourage people to look beyond that and just make a decision and just do it. Because when you decide, everything opens up. You don't really have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to know that you want it and be clear. And then the how just sort of evolves right in front of you. I balance myself out with eating well, eating as good as I can, keeping up with my exercise. I do a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation in the morning. I have a great church community. I have 3 grandkids who I adore, so I spend a lot of time with that. So community, I think, is really important as well. I surround my life with people that I love, and I make time for the things that I love to do.
Jennifer, tell me more about that decision to leave the corporate world.
When I was in the corporate world, I was traveling about 75% of the time. You know, travel's hard. I was very blessed to have seen the world through my travels, but I have to say it took a toll on my body. And the thing that really prompted me to leave my corporate job was through my travels, I somehow ended up tearing both of my rotator cuffs and my arms were a mess. So when that happened, I had to take time off from work and I was off for about 6 months. This is right when COVID hit. And I was home alone, spending a lot of time just kind of reflecting on what I wanted to do when I got out of the situation that I was in. And I had decided that I didn't want to go back to that world because I was burned out. I was physically, mentally, and emotionally just spent. So at that point, I had to decide what was going to be my next step. I had already been practicing Pilates for my own mental health and for my physical fitness, as I mentioned earlier. And it was at that moment I just decided, you know what, you love Pilates. Why not go and be a Pilates instructor? And what was easy about that is in my corporate world, I was in the training and development world. So teaching was something that was very natural for me. I decided to quit my job and get a Pilates certification and completely just kind of rebuild my life from the ground up.
I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I think it's a fascinating one that'll inspire others. I know that the hospitality industry, they're short on labor. So I think somebody's going to be really lucky to snatch you up when you graduate. Jennifer is going to be writing a column for our Savvy Restaurants, Hotels, and Resorts magazine. I'm excited to work with Jennifer on that going forward. And I'll see you at the next Pilates class soon.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you so much.